Located on the south side of the massive Mount Shasta Ski Park is the only decently sized California ski area north of the Tahoe region. Not to be confused with the previous Mount Shasta Ski Bowl, which closed in the 1970s due to a devastating avalanche. Mount Shasta Ski Park is a locally focused area with some great views and great intermediate terrain, as well as a significant recent expansion. But does this volcano-based resort have enough terrain to plan for a trip from further away? Well, in this video, we'll go through Mount Shasta Ski Park's overall mountain experience, and then we'll go through how the resort stacks up in our overall rankings. Let's jump right into it. Mount Shasta Ski Park gets typical California snow, meaning accumulation tends to be heavier than snow found in Utah or Colorado, but it sticks around through warmer temperatures quite well. While the resort gets a lot less snow than Tahoe area resorts, it's typically enough to fully cover the slopes throughout the core season, which is especially noteworthy given the ski area's entirely southern-facing exposure. These circumstances make for spring-like conditions for much of the year, and powder that gets very heavy very quickly. If you're looking for soft, untracked snow, you may be a little disappointed in the conditions you'll find at Shasta. Mount Shasta Ski Park does have a pretty extensive snowmaking system for a local ski resort out west, with 44% of the area being covered, allowing for a reasonably consistent opening schedule and base coverage. One place where Shasta has historically taken a back seat is in its grooming operations. The resort's south-facing, spring-like slopes have always been a bit of a challenge to smooth out, and with some turnover on the grooming team since a change in ownership a few years ago, it's been common for only a few trails in each terrain pod to receive grooming on a regular basis. It's rare that Shasta's grooming will be truly terrible, but those expecting the silky smooth corduroy that's commonplace at almost every destination ski resort will be somewhat disappointed. However, operations have improved somewhat in this past season, with the resort investing in new grooming strategies to keep slopes in better conditions than in years past. Thanks to its location on the slopes of Mount Shasta, a stratovolcano that tops out above 14,000 feet, the views at Mount Shasta Ski Park are impressive, both on the way up and on the way down. On the slopes themselves, guests can see into the Klamath and Trinity Mountains, which have some striking peaks, especially in the Castle Crags area. Some slopes even offer views down to the Lassen area, which is 70 miles away. When it comes to riding the lifts and a handful of trails, visitors will be looking up at the iconic Mount Shasta itself. Some might argue the view from the base may be the best of anywhere at the resort, as the massive peak of Shasta looms right above you. What's also above Shasta Ski Park is the old ski area on Mount Shasta, which was called Mount Shasta Ski Bowl. Ski Bowl was closed in the late 70s due to financial troubles and an avalanche that destroyed their main lift, and if you're a history junkie, it might be worth looking into some of the information about that resort before it closed down. When it comes to the terrain at Mount Shasta Ski Park, the resort is split into 4 zones, with each served by a dedicated lift. The bottom of the ski area also hosts a small beginner learning zone served by a magic carpet. The Marmot Ridge Zone, located to the looker's left of the base, accesses the resort's longer beginner terrain in a smaller terrain park. The Douglas Butte Zone, which is to the looker's right of the base, accesses a large portion of the resort's advanced trails and glades and a few intermediate runs as well. The Coyote Butte Pod, which starts at mid-mountain, accesses additional advanced runs and glades as well as the resort's large terrain park. Finally, the newest and highest elevation Gray Butte Pod accesses low, intermediate to advanced runs and many gladed areas. The Gray Butte area also includes Richards Way, which is the only marked double black diamonds trail on the mountain. The beginner terrain at Shasta is exclusively concentrated in the resort's lower mountain areas. That being said, the wide and mellow nature of the resort's green runs makes for a solid experience for less proficient skiers and riders, at least when the grooming allows. The first-timer carpet area is well shielded from more advanced traffic and even includes access to the small terrain park. Once skiers and riders move to the intermediate level, Shasta Ski Park starts to feel a lot larger thanks to its moderately sloped runs in every major area. The Gray Butte area hosts some of the ski area's best lower intermediate runs, including some intermediate glades, while runs off the north sides of Douglas and Coyote Buttes offer standout groomed cruising terrain. While the park in the resort's name was likely chosen to distinguish it from the old ski bowl, those looking for some terrain park laps will find a generally strong selection at Mount Shasta. Parks with smaller features can be found on Marmot Ridge, as well as in the aforementioned beginner area. For large features, guests should head to the Revolution Park on the lower half of Coyote Butte, although it's worth noting that this park can be lapped by both the Coyote and Douglas lifts. While there's no half pipe, this larger park is home to rails, boxes, and jumps that should keep park rats satisfied. Advanced level skiers and riders should be able to cover the whole of Mount Shasta Ski Park without any issues. Steeper grooms trails are found on Douglas and Coyote Buttes, allowing for some serious speed runs. Coyote is home to a selection of widely spaced advanced glade runs, as well as an open, bowl-like summit that lasts for a few hundred feet. These two peaks are also home to some longer bump runs, with the Rocky Ridge Trail especially standing out for its moguls. And south-facing backside zone on Douglas Butte offers wide-open glades with excellent views. This all being said, Shasta's black runs tend to fall on the easier side for their difficulty ratings, and those used to blues at destination resorts, such as those in Tahoe, shouldn't have a problem completing most of them. If you're looking for a serious challenge, Shasta Ski Park is plainly not for you. There's one double black trail within the whole ski area, and while it has some rocky obstacles, the truly steep section is very short. In addition, this run is frustrating to lap due to a long and flat exit. Some of the trees on Douglas Butte also offer some expert level obstacles, especially between Rocky Ridge and West Face, but these obstacles are tough to track down and easy to avoid. But while its inbounds terrain may not be too technical, one of the best parts of Mount Shasta Ski Park is its easy access to incredible backcountry terrain. From the top of Gray Butte, guests can hike or skin up to higher terrain on Mount Shasta itself, which extends more than 6,000 feet above the highest elevation point of the resort. Skinning up the face of Mount Shasta and then skiing or riding back into the ski area can be really fun for those looking to do longer laps. On paper, Mount Shasta Ski Park offers a vertical drop of over 2,000 feet, which, while not class leading, is decent for California. However, this metric is a bit misleading, as one cannot do a true top to bottom run without hiking or entering backcountry terrain. The peak of the ski area is served by the new Gray Butte quad lift, and while it may look like the Get Back run on the map allows for an easy escape from the pod, this trail is very flat, uphill in some areas, and longer than you might think at nearly a half mile. Getting to the pod requires the exact same traverse, meaning some uphill catwalking in the other direction, or entering backcountry terrain off the backside of Coyote Butte. That backcountry terrain is very tempting, as you can see the Gray Butte lift the whole time, but if you enter it, know that it is out of bounds and steep enough for avalanches to occur. This weird situation is largely due to checkerboarded land ownership, and while Shasta Ski Park says it's working toward a solution, one has yet to be implemented. But other than getting to and from Gray Butte, getting around Shasta Ski Park is pretty easy. Both base lifts are easy to access when first entering the resort, and there are very few traverses. A handful of trails do involve some flat sections, most notably the beginner Panther Creek run from the bottom of the Coyote Butte chair to the base area, and the catch line out of the glades on the south side of Douglas Butte. However, the resort is generally straightforward overall. Mount Shasta offers a few options for those looking to stop in for a break. The main base offers typical ski area food, with a few extra food items such as poutine, and prices are about average for what you get. There's also a nice bar with easy access to the patio overlooking the mountain, though you'll be mostly in the shade of the building since the slopes are facing south. On the mountain itself, there is a place to stop at on the top of Douglas Butte, though it's very small and it lacks indoor seating. There's also a rest area at the base of Gray Butte with a vending machine and an outhouse. Mount Shasta is not a destination mountain, and all of its chairs are slow and fixed grip in nature. However, these chairs generally offer sufficient capacity for the mountain's needs. Marmot, Coyote, and Douglas are all comfortable triple chairs, though modest lines can build up at Douglas due to this zone's popularity. The fairly new Gray Butte chair is a very comfy quad chair, and it's just about guaranteed that this lift will never have a line due to its hard to get to nature. Mount Shasta operates during the typical daytime hours, but it also offers twilight skiing on Fridays and Saturdays, extending lift operations until 7 and 6 p.m. on those days, respectively. Operations only occur on a few runs off the Marmot and Douglas areas, which are marked accordingly on the trail map. This offers a few extra hours on busy days for locals to get in some turns after work, or for visitors looking to maximize their day on the slopes. Mount Shasta Ski Park is located in far northern California, about 4 hours north of Sacramento and 4 hours south of Eugene, Oregon. The nearest international airports are in San Francisco and Portland, but by that point, you're looking at nearly 5 or 6 hour drives. However, once you make the drive, parking at Mount Shasta is very close to the base and free. As a locally oriented ski area, Mount Shasta Ski Park doesn't offer any on-site lodging. Luckily, the closest town of Mount Shasta is only about 20 minutes away, and visitors will find many lodging options and an arguably eclectic vibe there. Options in the town of Mount Shasta range from basic inns to 3-star hotels. Mount Shasta Ski Park isn't really a major tourist destination, and if you're looking for a place to party after shredding the slopes, the resort is not the best bet. The base bar, while very nice and large, doesn't stay open much past the chairs closing. So if you're looking for gnarly terrain, high-speed lifts, or a true resort experience, you won't find that at Mount Shasta Ski Park. But what you will find are sunny beginner to advanced intermediate slopes, limited lift lines, a bizarre recent expansion, and convenient access to some really good backcountry. Prices at Mount Shasta Ski Park are much cheaper than other California resorts, with tickets topping out around $100 for holidays and just under that for weekends, although some might argue this is still only an okay value for the quality of slopes you get. Shasta is also on the Indy Pass and Powder Alliance program, which both offer a limited number of days at each member's ski area. Now let's go through how Mount Shasta Ski Park stacks up in our overall rankings, which are determined by the following 10 category mountain score. Mount Shasta Ski Park averages just under 200 inches of annual average snowfall each year, although accumulation tends to be wet and heavy, and the resort gets a 6 for snow. Shasta does have some snowmaking, but Grooming is still somewhat behind some of the best destinations, and the south-facing exposure creates spring-like conditions, getting the resort a 5 for resiliency. Mount Shasta Ski Park offers a 635-acre skiable footprint, and the overall boundaries of the mountain are around the same dimensions, earning the resort a 4 for size. Shasta offers some very unique lower-level terrain, but above treeline and expert slopes are lacking, and the resort gets a 5 for terrain diversity. Mount Shasta has a handful of difficult trails, but most trails should be easy to conquer for advanced intermediate level skiers and riders, and the resort gets a 4 for challenge. All of Mount Shasta's lifts are slow, and guests will have to deal with the extremely unintuitive access to and from the Great Butte area, getting the resort a 3 for lifts. Mount Shasta Ski Park can see lines during the busiest times, but they are nowhere near what one might see at a typical destination resort, and the mountain gets an 8 for crowd flow. Mount Shasta Ski Park has decent base lodges and a shack at mid-mountain, and the resort gets a 4 for facilities. Mount Shasta's lower mountain is generally easy to get around, but the entry and egress from Great Butte is a huge pain point, getting the resort a 6 for navigation. And finally, mountain aesthetic. Mount Shasta Ski Park may not have the biggest boundary-to-boundary footprint, but it's hard to understate how striking the views of nearby Mount Shasta are, and the sunny, south-facing slopes are a nice change of pace from many other resorts, earning Mount Shasta Ski Park a 7 in this category. These categories add up to an overall score of 52, placing Mount Shasta Ski Park 12th in California as of early 2025. Shasta does have some really unique things going for it, but its small size, perplexing Great Butte access setup, and lack of resiliency measures hurt it against the competitive crowd of resorts further south. In addition, Shasta might be the least challenging decently sized California ski resort north of the LA region. But if you want an excuse to check out one of the most beautiful volcanoes in the United States and get a bit of skiing or riding in while doing so, Mount Shasta Ski Park won't let you down. For more information on Mount Shasta Ski Park and over 100 destination ski resorts around the world, check out peakrankings.com. And special thanks to our Peak patrons. See you for the next one.